we're going to watch a little bit of how the situation is being reported. So Oakland says, California says, mainstream media says that they have these things in Oakland. They're called sideshows. Just, like, oh, head on down to the sideshow. Sounds totally normal. Sounds, like a perfectly peaceful type thing. How do I get this to close? I am not doing great. Boom, there we go. This is some of what the sideshow. And I mean, just listen to here. Let me turn the volume back on. Listen to this guy, like his attitude talking about it is just like, oh, this is totally normal.
Bunch of sideshows happening here in the Bay Area once again.
Yeah, well, this time it was in the city of Oakland. Our correspondent Hazik Medyoun spoke to a business owner.
Now I'm going to pause it right here. So look at this car, the silver 4-door sedan. Notice that, I didn't get a good freeze of it. Let me freeze it back here. All right. Notice this little white sticker that it has, because we're going to see this guy again.
In the Bay Area once again.
Right through it.
But this is what goes on.
An illegal sideshow causes a major disruption to the flow of traffic Sunday at around 6:45 p.m. at the corner of 42nd Avenue and International Boulevard in East.
So basically, everyone here they're not held hostage, but it's definitely a tense situation. It's definitely a lawless type deal. And, this woman in her car is freaking out. But you watch, and the police, they basically threaten to surround the police officer, and he kind of just meanders on through.
At one point in the video, you see an Oakland police patrol car roll through.
No one getting arrested.
Without stopping.
It's not fair to either blame OPD for not doing anything. That was one for.
And he just gets the heck out of there. But again, why this is a problem, this lawlessness, because when we don't hold criminals to account, this is the broken windows theory, from New York City. When they can do stuff like this, the same exact actors, these cars, some of the same bystanders on the side of the road at a different location, some language here, but at a different location, did this.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Now, there's like a 2-minute video of this right here, which is really difficult to watch because okay, so reportedly they didn't beat this guy to death. But I've seen people, there are about 6 to 8 people hitting him, and he's completely defenseless. They're kicking him, they're punching him in the head, they're kicking him in the face, and there's just no way. There's no way to get out of a situation like that. I mean, a lot of times, a situation like this, a firearm might not even save you, depending on how emboldened the criminals are. At that first one, if you watch the whole video, it's like a 3-minute video. We're not going to watch the whole one. They talk about these sideshows. They talk about the facts that shots were fired at the police and at police vehicles. At these sideshows, they've arrested like 2, maybe 3 people, impounded 1, maybe 2 cars, and recovered 1 or 2 firearms. But this is, listening to the newscasters, this is everyday stuff. This is just Oakland. This is just LA. This is just, I don't think they're doing sideshows in New York City. I think NYPD would actually do something about that. But leftists, these are your policies.
Well, I don't know that they would do anything about it. I mean, if you look at that story of Jordan Neely, the tragedy of him passing away at the hands of somebody that actually held him to account for despicable behavior. Now the subways are completely flooded with protesters, and they're terrorizing people, and the protesters are standing on the tracks and stopping trains, and they're screaming at people that are trying to get out of the trains. And I mean, I think eventually they did start making arrests, but the police are really, I don't know what it is. I think a lot of it is a lack of morale. I think a lot of it is lack of support from politicians. And I think a lot of it is the fact that so many of these crimes have been diminished and reduced to minimal charges, if any charges at all. And I always think it's so funny because, well, I don't think it's funny. It's horrendous. But we hear so many leftists say, you know, the crime is higher in red states and it's higher in places like Mississippi and Oklahoma or whatever. But the thing is, when you live in a place that they've removed the penalties for things, where something that used to be a crime is no longer a crime, that is going to drive your numbers down. So all of these things, you know, with drag racing in the middle of the road or whatever it is that they're doing, not drag racing, but these things used to be
They're
crimes.
like having a party in the middle of an intersection.
Being completely disruptive to all of the businesses and destroying the streets and beating the crap out of innocent bystanders. All of these things would be crimes in places that were run by people who value the law. But they're in places where the law means absolutely nothing. So you're not going to have people charged for these things, and you're not going to have a high rate of criminal activity on record.
I can tell you with all certainty, how this would go down in like Loudoun County. And Loudoun is always in the news for something ridiculous, but law enforcement in Loudoun is solid. The sheriff's department here is award-winning. You know, we had an active shooter at the mall just a couple weeks back, and they were on scene and in custody within like, I think the whole thing took about 3 minutes, and it was, yeah. Anyway, our sheriff's office is baller, but I can tell you with all certainty, Mike Chapman's a friend. One of the reactor fast teams would get put on this, and they would just for a week say, hey, this team is going to arrive at these what do they call them? Sideshows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're just going to arrive at these things, block off the road, do the choke points. It's a 4-way intersection, so just do the choke points and arrest everyone in there. Problem solved. And it's like, hey, if you do this, which is, they call us insurrectionists. They say that we almost lost democracy. We almost lost the country. They're the only ones that take over and occupy sovereign area in the United States, like Chaz Chop, Portland, Oregon, bullcrap.
Yep.
Yeah. This story is super sad. Not as sad as yours, but and none of these people have been arrested.
And I'm not surprised. And it's not like this is a one-off incident. It's not like this is isolated. There is like video after video after video constantly on a daily basis of stuff like this happening, of people just getting beat up, people being terrorized.
Oh yeah, that's what they call Black Twitter.
It's what?
Have you looked into Black Twitter at all?
No. That sounds racist.
Here's a big circle of depravity for you later tonight. No. So Black Twitter, which is just like just like Black America, it's just like cultural stuff that the Black community puts on Twitter, is fights. It's fights. It's people getting jumped in the gangs. It's drive-by shootings. It's stuff like this. Like these videos, a bunch of these videos will be on Black Twitter, which is normal Twitter, but it's just like the hashtags that like Black America uses. And to call a spade, like the worst demographic of Black America, not just like Will Smith's not going to be on Black. Actually, Will Smith was on Black Twitter when he slapped Chris Rock. But basically, well-educated, successful, hardworking Black Americans not on Black Twitter much.
Not so much.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you remove laws, it only affects, it's law-abiding citizens that are impacted by it, and that people will behave in the way that you allow them to behave. If there's no consequences, you're going to pull the worst of society out in front of you, and everybody else is going to have to deal with it. So it's almost like having consequences in place is actually effective and like keeps people from ruining our cities and ruining streets and ruining people's communities. I don't know. It's just a wild idea. Maybe defunding the police was as bad of an idea as we said it was going to be.
Mind blown.
I know, right? Like, some of us don't have to learn things the hard way. We can see exactly where this is going to go.
This is why we say they behave like children, because they have to touch the stove. They, nuh-uh, they have to experience it themselves. And it's like, told you. We freaking told you.
Yeah.
All
but
right.
in their case, they don't care how many people get burned because they don't have to deal with it. So we're all getting burned. They're just pretending that it's happening.
That is an accidental, perfect analogy.